This is 12 millimeters. If I now make my butter 12 millimeters, it will then give us beautiful, even lamination lines throughout our product. The butter I'm using is Corman butter. It's a cultured butter, and this will give our product a slightly natural yogurt flavour, slightly lactic acid flavour. I think it gives us a really nice flavour profile to our croissant. But you can see that it's too hard. If I was to try to put this into our croissant now, it would rupture our layers. So we have to go through a process called conditioning. And it's effectively just rolling or beating the butter until it becomes soft and pliable. And now that becomes a beautiful, pliable piece of butter that we can now laminate into our pastry. So this is being rolled down to 4 millimeters. I'm now going to do a single fold in my butter. So now I have 12 millimeters of butter, and that will match the thickness of our pastry. Our butter is conditioned. Our dough that we had sitting in the fridge over for the last 24 hours after we mixed it yesterday is now ready to be laminated. So what I do is I place my butter in the middle of the pastry. I then get a knife and really carefully cut pastry either side of the butter. Okay. Then placing the cut portions on top. Okay, this exposes the four sides of the pastry and the butter. I believe this gives us a better lamination because we get 100% lamination. If I leave a fold in there, what happens is we can get portions of the dough that don't get laminated properly. So by cutting it and placing it on top, we get really crisp, clean edges. To secure the butter, I just put a few little dimples in it just to secure it, and then it's ready to go for its first roll. Okay. When you place it on the machine, make sure that you place it with the cut going into the machine. If you were to roll it that way, the cut would separate. So place it going long ways through the machine, and let's start rolling. I'm going to roll it down to around about 10 millimeters thick. We don't want to stress the dough too much. If we go down too quickly, we can put too much tension in the dough and it become a tight dough. Okay, so that's 10.5. Now what we need to do is we need to do what we call an offset book fold. We get one of our ends, we fold it 3/4 up. Then we get our other edge 3/4 down, making sure that our pastry meets a nice clean line in the middle. And then we fold it in half again. Now you can start to see how we start to generate our layers within our croissant. We always give our croissant pastry a 90-degree turn, and we always roll out from our open ends, not our closed ends. Okay, so it's ready to go now back into the machine and roll out for its second roll. Same process as before, 2 increments at a time. Don't put too much stress on the dough, making sure that it hits the rollers straight. It's down to 10 millimeters. This time we're not going to do an offset book fold, we're going to do a single fold. So we always like to work with straight edges, so I'm just going to trim this edge straight, like so. And we fold it up around about half. Okay. We take our scraps that we've cut off one end and we just place them in the inside of our dough to create a straight line. And then we fold our right-hand side over. And the dough has to meet edge to edge, okay? And you can see that's a little bit out, so we'll fix that. There we go. And now that goes into the fridge and it has a rest for at least 20 minutes. And we're just covering it to make sure that it doesn't form a skin. My croissant dough, I like to do 1 book fold and 2 single folds. This is its last single fold. So, making sure that we're once again rolling through our open ends, not our closed ends. Down to 10 millimeters again. And now we're ready for our last single fold. So once again, 1 straight edge. Okay. This also helps check that our laminations are in good condition. Okay. 1 side up. Place your scrap inside, making a straight line. And then folding it over the top. that is ready to go. Back into the fridge, about a half an hour rest. Okay, allow the gluten to relax, and then that will be ready for rolling and shaping. Our dough's had its final fold and its final rest. It's now ready to be rolled out for its final shaping. Now we'll get most of the length through the open ends, but I'm just rolling it out in the closed ends just to get my width that I require. As you can see, my pastry is now starting to stress. You're going to see rounded edges. That means it's fighting against the gluten structure. So at this point, we turn it around and we'll get our length out of our open ends. Now, depending on what size of croissant and Danish we're making, will determine how thick or thin your pastry will be. Generally, I roll this down to around about 5 mil to do a standard croissant.